My name is Evan Carter, and when this happened, I was 17 years old, living in a quiet cul-de-sac in Spokane, Washington, while my parents were away for a funeral in Idaho. I had insisted I'd be fine staying home alone, mostly because I wanted the weekend to myself, but also because nothing had ever happened in our neighborhood. Nothing worse than someone's dog getting loose or a car alarm refusing to shut off. It was late November, a freezing weekend, the kind of cold where the window glass becomes icy to the touch inside the house. I remember the house feeling emptier than usual. The creaks were louder, the heater more aggressive, the silence somehow heavier. Around 10 p.m., I was in my room with the lights off scrolling through my phone when I heard the first knock at the front door. It wasn't friendly or hesitant. It was slow, purposeful, the kind of knock meant to be heard through an entire house. I froze instantly. Nobody knocks that late. Nobody who belongs here. I stayed still, hoping whoever was would just leave, but then it came again, louder this time, and what made it worse was the faint scraping noise afterward, like someone dragging their nails along the metal of the door. I looked out my bedroom window toward the driveway, expecting to see a car or porch light shadow, but everything was pitch black except for our lone street lamp flickering across the snow. Another knock. Evan. A voice whispered through the door, soft, like someone trying not to wake anyone else. I felt every hair on my arms rise. It wasn't a question, it wasn't a guess. They said my name like they knew me, like they were already familiar with me in a way that made my stomach turn. I reached for my phone and texted my mom, but the message didn't deliver. We'd been having signal issues that week, and the Wi-Fi had been cutting out since morning. The house felt like it was shrinking, compressing around me. I crawled quietly across the room and peeked out the blinds toward the front porch, but the angle wasn't good enough to see anything. Then the doorbell rang 3 times in a perfect rhythm. Ding dong ding, ding dong ding, ding dong ding. The pattern repeated itself until suddenly it stopped, replaced by slow tapping directly on the window beside the door. I knew the sound because my dad did it all the time when he forgot his keys. But this wasn't my dad, and the tapping wasn't casual. It moved across the window's length, tap, 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 like fingers slowly searching for a weak spot. I backed away from the window, trying not to breathe loudly. Then the voice whispered again, "I see the lights off, Evan. That means you're home." I felt dizzy. I hadn't made a sound. How did he know the lights were off unless he was pressed against the glass? I grabbed the baseball bat from my closet and made my way to the hallway, staying close to the walls where the floor was quietest. I was deciding whether to hide, call 911, or make a run for the back door when suddenly the knocking stopped. Total silence. Not even wind. It lasted maybe a minute, but it felt like it stretched into an hour. I forced myself to look through the peephole. Nothing. Just our empty porch. No footprints in the thin layer of snow. No sign anyone had been there at all. That scared me more than seeing someone would have. There should have been something. I stepped back from the door, carefully holding my breath when my phone vibrated. Unknown number. No text, just a photo. When I opened it, my stomach dropped so hard I thought I was going to throw up. It was a picture of me, taken from outside my bedroom window. Same exact angle. Same exact moment. Same exact lighting. And below it, one line, "If you don't open the door, I will." I didn't even finish reading before I heard glass crack lightly from the side of the house. Just a pop. The kind windows make right before they break completely. I ran into the kitchen, turned off every light I could, and hid between the island and the pantry. The glass crackled again, louder this time. Then came the sound of someone breathing, slow, heavy, deliberate, right outside the kitchen window. The horrifying part? Whoever it was, they were humming. Off-key, tuneless, like they were just passing time. My heart pounded so loudly I thought they would hear it through the wall. Then, without warning, the humming stopped. Silence again. And then a whisper so soft it felt like it was said directly against the window. "You shouldn't hide from someone who already knows where you are." I couldn't take it anymore. I sprinted toward the garage door, yanked it open, and slammed it behind me, locking it 3 times. I got in my dad's truck and turned the engine over, floored it down the driveway, and didn't look back. Not once. I drove straight to my friend Jake's house and stayed there until morning. When we returned with the police, the cops found footprints everywhere around my house. But here's what still haunts me. They weren't normal footprints. They circled the house backwards, heel first, as if the person had been walking in reverse the entire time. And on my bedroom window, drawn with the faint oil of someone's finger, were two words, "Found you." The police never caught him. They said it was probably someone messing around. But I know it wasn't a prank. This person knew my name. They knew where I was. They knew when I was alone. And sometimes, especially at night, when the house settles or the heater clicks on, I swear I hear tapping somewhere in the walls, slow, deliberate, patient, like someone just waiting for me to be home alone again. My name is Mia Henderson, and when I was 14, my parents left me home alone for the first time in our new house in Flagstaff, Arizona, a tall pine-surrounded two-story rental with creaking floors and an attic door that hung crooked on its hinges. We'd moved in only 2 weeks earlier, and from the moment I stepped inside, something felt off. The air always seemed a little colder than it should be, and the attic, located in the hallway right outside my bedroom, gave off a constant smell like wet drywall and old insulation. My parents joked that I'd get used to it. I never did. On the night this happened, they had gone to a late dinner with some relatives visiting from California. I had the house to myself from about 7 p.m. onward, and even though I kept the TV on loud, the house still felt like it was listening. I don't know how else to describe it. Every time I walked from one room to another, I felt like someone unseen was shifting their attention toward me. I was lying on the couch scrolling through Instagram when I heard the first creak from the attic. Not the usual pops of old wood expanding from temperature changes. This was slow, heavy, like something crawling across the joists on its stomach. At first, I told myself it had to be an animal, a raccoon, maybe even a stray cat. But then it dragged again, the sound longer this time, too heavy for anything small. I muted the TV and listened. Silence. Then, a quiet thump, like a knee or elbow hitting wood. Then the sound of something shifting its weight. Whatever it wasn't light. I stood up from the couch and walked to the staircase, halfway up before pausing to listen again. Absolute silence. The kind of silence that's almost loud. I almost convinced myself I'd imagined it when something hit the attic floor so hard the ceiling light flickered. I froze. That wasn't an animal, and it wasn't the house settling. I slowly backed down the stairs and headed for the living room when I suddenly heard a faint scratching sound coming from the wall directly beside me. Inside the wall, like something with long nails was dragging itself downward. Then it stopped, and I heard a soft tapping, almost thoughtful, like someone was knocking from the other side of the drywall. I went cold, completely cold. I called my mom twice. No answer. I texted her, "Call me now, emergency," but she didn't respond. The scratching began again, moving horizontally now, following the direction of the attic access door above the hallway. I stared at the attic hatch, watching it vibrate with each movement above it, and that's when I noticed something else, dust falling from the edges of the wooden frame, drifting to the floor each time the thing dragged itself. I tiptoed backward into my bedroom, shut the door quietly, and locked it. I turned off the lights and hid behind my bed, holding my phone flashlight low. The house was dead silent for nearly 5 minutes. Then the attic door creaked, not fully opening, just shifting like something was testing it from above. Then again, and again, each time slightly more forceful. Finally, I heard a sound I will never forget, a long, slow exhale coming from directly above the attic hatch, like someone or something was smelling for me. Then, with a violent bang, the attic door slammed open, crashing against the hallway wall. Dust filled the air, wood splintered, and then came the sound of something climbing down. Not stepping, climbing, like elbows, knees, and hands dragging along the walls. I heard long nails or bones scraping against the sheetrock. My phone buzzed suddenly, my mom calling back, and my heart stopped. I scrambled to silence it, but it was too late. The thing stopped moving immediately. Then the slow turning of my bedroom doorknob began. I pressed my hands over my mouth to stop myself from screaming. The doorknob twisted once, twice, then stopped. A low, rattling inhale came from the other side of the door. Then, incredibly slowly, something began pushing against the door itself, making it bow inward. I backed farther behind the bed, gripping my comforter so tightly my fingers hurt. And then silence. Not a creak. Not a breath. Nothing. Second crawled by. Then minutes. Finally, I heard movement again, but this time going up the wall. Up the door frame. Across the ceiling. Back toward the attic entrance. Then the sound faded entirely. When my parents got home an hour later, they found me shaking in the corner of my room, the attic door hanging open and claw marks carved in the hallway walls. The police came, checked the attic, checked the roof, checked everything, but they found nothing. No footprints in the insulation. No signs of animals. No forced entry. The landlord later admitted the previous tenants had moved out suddenly after strange noises from the attic woke their kids multiple times. I never slept in that room again. And even now, years later, when I'm alone in any house, I still catch myself listening for that dragging sound in the attic. The sound of something that shouldn't exist, searching the ceiling, hunting the walls, learning the layout of the home, one quiet inch at a time.